Welcome to John S. Sports Channel, where we're going for the midweek games this week. We're going into League One for the prediction, so stay tuned. Do like and subscribe as we go to AFC Wimbledon versus Cardiff. Now, Wimbledon last time out, what did they do? They won Reading 2-1. Away from home as well. Now, this is a team that defended doggedly against Luton Town, but really all the way back at the byline. But they did a really good job, and disheartening to lose that game so late on against such a class opposition. And they were. Then they've won against Luton Town at home, drawn against Gillingham in the Cup away, and then that game against Reading away where they won 2-1. The Reading first half opener, what a miss. I did see that Wimbledon had a couple of erroneous moments in defence in this game, and that was one of them. Reading first half open net, bang, misses the net completely. That would have set the tone, I think, for this game had he actually got that in. Because Reading were just a little bit better for me on the day. Reading just weren't marking very well, especially when Wimbledon were attacking. I noticed that Wimbledon were constantly getting away from their markers and finding space. And you sort of had this idea that Wimbledon could win this one, and they did. But what a cracker by the Reading scorer there. That was an absolute Lewis Wing. We know Lewis Wing can score because he used to do them from there for Rotherham. Great shot, great cracking goal there. That has to be one of the goals of the day, doesn't it? And however, it was only a consolation, and Wimbledon won that one. Cardiff City last time out, of course, was a Rotherham United win at home, 3-0. They played okay in the first half, better than Rotherham, but they didn't really gel that great in the first half, up to the goal. And then after that, especially in the second half, the result was never really in doubt. 3-0 win, easy romp home, really. They could have made it 4 or 5. What have they done so far? A home win against Peterborough 2-1, an away draw against Port Vale 0-0, a win in the Cup 2-1 at home to Swindon, and then of course that Rotherham United win. They've not really been tested a lot this side, and I think that this side still has enough against Wimbledon. Again, it's not one of their toughest outcomes, their toughest opponents, is it? I don't think they haven't really had a tough opponent. The first one, Peter, is probably the toughest one I would have thought in that group. It's gonna be an interesting game. I think that Wimbledon, if they keep on with those erroneous moments they had in the Reading game, and they have in the couple of games just made a couple of mistakes, I think that this particular side, Cardiff, will be able to punish them, whereas obviously Reading didn't do in that last game. I think that Cardiff will. I think it's going to be Wimbledon 0, Cardiff 2, and we move on to Huddersfield versus Doncaster Rovers. Huddersfield versus Doncaster Rovers then. Huddersfield last time out, 3-2 defeat away at Blackpool. I want to talk about that one. What have they done so far? Leyton Orient win 3-0, but they didn't have most of the possession. They had least of the possession there, with 56% going to Leyton Orient, I do believe. But they still came out on top because they were just more clinical up front. And again, Reading 2-0 win away from home, still being clinical at home to Leicester City 2-2, and of course winning that one on penalties. And again, they were really clinical. Blackpool just didn't see it here. This was a game of two teams attacking. Blackpool wanted to attack, but so did Huddersfield, and they were constantly up front. I knew it was going to be a high-scoring game. Both of these teams, Huddersfield and Blackpool, have really good front ends, and probably one of the best midfields as well in the league. I think that these two teams were obviously going to go out on attack, and they did, but they left their back ends open too much here. Both teams were guilty of not concentrating on that back end. And for me, both sides saw the opposition saunter through a little bit too easily for me. However, it's shown in the scoreline of Blackpool 3, Huddersfield 2. Let's just go to the Doncaster Rovers side. What have they done so far this season? A win at home, 1-0 against Exeter. Should have been 2 or 3 in that game. So they were really well on top. Mansfield away, 2-1. Our friend Roy there at the game. Both teams apparently. Man at the match obviously saying both teams played pretty dismal. I think one of the goals for Doncaster was like a bit like ping pong balls, like bouncing all over the place. But it went in the net, and Doncaster ended up winning that one 2-1. The surprise for me is the Carabao Cup, 4-0 against Middlesbrough away. Now you have to think that has to be the cup atmosphere and ego of a giant killing. So perhaps we can't take that one into account. Wycombe Wanderers 1-1 then for Doncaster last time out at home. Now the problem here is when you look at the game, it quickly becomes a little bit apparent what some of the issues were here. For instance, let's just look at the timing here. We had a Billy Sharp goal for Doncaster on 56 and a Quaterma goal for Wycombe on 71. But I remember just before the Doncaster goal, wasn't it? The Doncaster goalie absolutely made a mess of it and almost let the attacker in. Just wasn't quite quick enough and alert enough to make the most of the goalkeeper's error. But then Doncaster went the other end, and the Wycombe goalie did an even more insane attempt to clear, and Doncaster score. It was a game of goalie mistakes. It was a game of not really wanting to lose this one. And if you look at the fact that Doncaster had 1 shot on target and Wycombe had 3 shots on target in the entire 90 minutes, this was a game of I don't want to lose it. So which one's going to win here, Huddersfield or Doncaster? Doncaster, I think, haven't really got that known constant attacking threat. Okay, 4-0 away at Borough. You're all going to be shouting at me, aren't you, Donny fans? I'm just afraid that was just the heat of the cup in there. I hope it isn't. I hope that you can actually score, because it's going to need a really good front end here against a Huddersfield side that definitely can and probably will score. Huddersfield, will they let a little bit of a glitch at the back? You know, seen a couple of errors at the back, but they're usually really, really strong at the back. I think it's a case of will Doncaster score. I'm going to go for Huddersfield 4, Doncaster 1. And I do hope that Middlesbrough game for you Doncaster fans shows me completely, insanely wrong, and you perhaps make it another one of those 4-3 games, or even 4-4. Let's have a look. Let's wait and see, and we'll move on to the next game, which is the Luton versus Wigan game, and this could be another really interesting game. So we go Luton Town versus Wigan. Luton win, lose. Wigan win, lose, win. Now you have to look at the Luton side. Obviously that win against Wimbledon, like we said, pretty fortuitous and a bit lucky there. Even though they were on the front foot all the game, they were just coming up against that blockade at the back and just couldn't quite get a past a Park bus, which they're going to find a lot of in this league, because just like Birmingham, they're going to be seen as the team to just stop. Not try and beat them, just try and stop them. Peterborough away, win 2-0, and then a Coventry defeat in the Cup, 1-0 away from home, and then a Bradford defeat last time out, 2-1. This was a game where Bradford just seemed to be really, really clinical. But they're also very, very good in defence. That Luton Town side, for me, never really looking too much like it was going to be getting in for a clear shot. Only 3 clear shots with 62% possession to Luton Town. So they did have the ball. They just couldn't get past that excellent defence of Bradford. And now they've just signed another midfielder from Manchester United. And I fear that this side is going to be one to watch, isn't it? This Bradford side. 2-1 there. 7 shots as well, so to Bradford, and they won that one 2-1. The Wigan side, they started with a win at Northampton and then a 3-1, and then a defeat against Leyton Orient 2-0. Two completely contrasting games, I thought there. They went to Notts County, played Notts County at home, 1-0 win in the Carabao Cup, and they're 2-0 win at home to Peterborough. But the 2-0 win at home to Peterborough, don't be put off by that. That was actually a game where both teams played really good attacking football. 71% possession to Peterborough, 15 shots, but only 2 on target. 30% to Wigan, 10 shots, 4 on target, 2 in the net. So you'd think, oh, that was really clinical then by Wigan. No, neither of these teams, they had lots of shots. Both teams had lots of shots, and you could see the clear chances that both sides got. And they got high, wide, deflected, blocked, whatever, but they just didn't. There should have been more on target in that game. You look at the clear chances. Both of those defences, or neither of those defences, were really strong for me. Not even the Wigan side, even though they won 2-0. So what do we think of the Luton versus Wigan game? Well, I think that you can see that that Luton need to turn this one round. Look, they have been playing good football. It's just that, like when they come against Bradford, they're coming up against what I believe to be one of the best defences in League One, and they couldn't get past them. And I fear that they will find a similar thing here, because Wigan they have actually got some class players in that side. Don't forget that. You look through those names in that side, they can play some damn good football. And they've won 3 and lost 1 of their last 4 games this season. So, one's in the cup. But they are capable of playing some good football. However, I think that this may be just a step too far for Wigan, looking at how they got chances and just couldn't get those balls on target. I think it might be another one of those AFC Wimbledons. So I'm going to go with the same. I'm going to go with Luton Town 1, Wigan 0. And we'll move on to the next game. Now, the next game is Mansfield versus Blackpool. Now, Mansfield have this season so far lost to Burton 2-1, lost to Doncaster 2-1. Again, both games pretty boring, pretty dull, not really playing very well, seemingly trying to get their feet into this league. And then all of a sudden, they win in the Carabao Cup 2-0 against Chesterfield. Do we see a little bit of improvement? Actually, we do. And then Exeter, we start to see a little bit more improvement to with regards Mansfield. And Mansfield here tried to just defend a little bit more, because Exeter had 60% possession, and you could see that Mansfield were finding a little bit trouble in parts of that game just to get out of their own half. However, they won this one 2-1, and I think sort of before half time, that first goal by Blake Tracy really did start to turn the screw just a little bit, trying to move the emphasis a little bit in their own favour, and I think that there is a sign, just a little bit of a sign for Roy and his followers down there at Mansfield, that Mansfield maybe turning it. But they're against a Blackpool side that won 3-2 against Huddersfield. Now, this is important, because I think that Mansfield can be very, very clinical at the front, and if you think about it, that's something that I think Mansfield would be able to take advantage of. Yeah, because it was 3 shots on target, 2 in the net for Mansfield. They are showing signs of being able to be a little bit more clinical and trying to just make sure they get any shots off. that are on target as good and as perfect as they can. But as we saw, Blackpool, their back end was quite iffy, but so was Huddersfield's 3-2 win there at home. What have they done in the since the start of the league? 3-2 defeat at home to Stevenage, 4-1 defeat away to Exeter, a 1-0 defeat at home to Port Vale in the Carabao Cup, and then all of a sudden from nowhere comes 3-2 win at home to Huddersfield. This was, I think, was a game where 3 defeats in a row. Their manager would have been saying, look, he's professional enough now to know that we cannot go on a losing run right at the beginning. We have to do something here to break this this downturn in confidence. However, this Mansfield side is on an upswing, and if we say that Blackpool have managed to sort of get the nugget of an upturn in there, I just think that Mansfield may have this one. I'm going to go with Roy's side. I'm going to go with Mansfield 2, Blackpool 1. I think there's going to be continuing errors in that Blackpool side, and I think Mansfield may just be able to cope and make the most of them. So we go to Northampton versus Lincoln City. Of course, Northampton, they've not been showing very much, if any, sign of improvement from last year. And I said, the summer transfers just non-existent for me. Where do we start with them? Wigan 3-1 defeat away. Bradford City 0-0 home draw, which I thought was quite good because at least it meant that their defence managed to stave off the Bradford's attack. But that Bradford at that point in time was super in defence. They hadn't really done much with regards attacking at that point. So perhaps 0-0 was a correct result there. Southampton at home in the Cup 1-0. Actually, that 1-0 home defeat to Southampton I thought was pretty good. Did we start to see a few little bits of green shoots coming through? Well, Stevenage, who have been playing really, really strongly, they lost away to Stevenage 2-0, but I don't think that was particularly a bad performance by Northampton. 52% possession for Northampton, remember. 9 shots, but none on target. Stevenage 10 shots, 3 on target, 2 in the net. So it's just a case of trying to get any of them on target would be a good idea. I think Northampton will slowly start to turn this season around, but you've got Lincoln City starting with Reading win at home 2-0, then a Wimbledon defeat away 2-0, and Harrogate 3-1 win away in the Cup. But then the important one for me was the Plymouth win 3-2 at home. Now Lincoln City, they know they can be up there. Plymouth obviously had Wyadu sent off. He's a liability. I'm glad Rotherham didn't sign him. I think all the Rotherham fans are as well. So thank you Plymouth for buying him. Lincoln City 34% possession, 14 shots, 8 on target and 3 goals. And I have to say the stats here because these really did shine for me, the game. 66% possession to Plymouth. They really did have the ball a lot of the time, and the 16 shots. This was a scene of just constant attacking, and it just seemed to be who's going to be able to get more shots and who's going to be more clinical. Well, think of this: 8 shots on target for Lincoln, 3 in the net. 4 shots on target for Plymouth, 2 in the net. Both of these sides were pretty damn good at their technical ability, and both of these sides went out to win this one. I don't think there was much of an erroneous defence. I think there was a couple of little niggles for me, a couple of little slip-ups, but I think that on the whole, this was an interesting game. We know there then that Lincoln City will be probably attacking this one quite hard, and we know that Northampton Town are improving, but can they improve enough? They are constant. The only game that they didn't let one in was the Bradford game with a really, really good defence. I don't think Lincoln City have anywhere near the defence that Bradford have got. I think that Northampton may very well score here, especially at home, but I think Lincoln City will have too much for them. I'm going to go with that boring result. I'm going to go with Northampton 1, Lincoln City 2. So where to go next? We go Peterborough versus Barnsley. Peterborough, 4 straight defeats, 2-1 away to Cardiff, 2-0 again away at home to Luton Town. Accrington Stanley away 2-1 defeat, and then last time out a Wigan defeat 2-0. This seems to be a side that just doesn't seem to have any prowess in front of goal, and I say that because of the Wigan game. Lots and lots of shots. I think they had 16 shots there and 2 on target. I mean, it's just insane. They were leaning back and the shots were just going all over the place. I mean, I'd like to be able to say a lot of them were blocked, but they weren't. They had some really clear-cut chances in those 16. Just didn't look ever like as soon as it hit the foot or the foot hit the ball, it didn't seem to be anywhere close to going near the net. Barnsley, though, they started with a Plymouth win 3-1, and that was a really good sign. They really did look like, instead of going to pots at the beginning and the end, they sorted. Burton Albion at home 3-2, and this started to look like a side that could be motoring this year. And then Fleetwood 2-2 and Bolton 1-1, and all of a sudden they're showing that they are losing it at the beginning. Yeah, sometimes they can be. They seem to have drifted back into perhaps doing one or two silly things at the beginning and at the end. Against Bolton, they got that. I mean, that silly sending off, the 52-minute red card, second yellow red card for Jorganathan, and you're thinking perhaps a little bit harsh. I think that certainly the Bolton player rolled around on the floor a little bit much for that, and I thought his foot actually hit the feet connected. The guy went down holding his up just above his ankle, where the shin pads are. So I'm not quite sure how it hurt quite so much, and how it hurt his leg when he hit his foot. But hey, a little bit of Oscar-winning performances there, perhaps by the Bolton player. But after that, it just seemed to go a little bit cold for me. Bolton took the game by the scruff of the neck, and Barnsley were really defending well. I have to say, my man of the match was actually the Barnsley goalkeeper. I thought the Barnsley goalkeeper did some absolutely cracking saves, and I'm not looking forward to Rotherham playing them in the Cup. I don't think we've won them for about 35 years at all. So, that's going to be interesting, isn't it? So we've got a Barnsley side that seem to, they've had a couple of little bit of setbacks, I think, here. And will they be able to beat this Peterborough side? Look, I think they can beat this Peterborough side quite easily. I think that at the minute Peterborough just don't seem to be gelling with this new idea. Have they changed it again? Do like and subscribe, Peterborough fans. Have you changed your formation again? Because I thought this season would be starting exactly the same as you finished last year. Last year, changed your style of play, changed how you play, got rid of your captain so that you could play a different method of football. And I was looking forward to it gently improving this year as it did last year. 4 straight defeats doesn't look very good. And I thought that there's some lacklustre attacking in there. Really got to get to grips with that. Much like Rotherham were trying to get grips with theirs. And they're playing a Barnsley side that really can score. I don't think the red card, I don't think it goes through before this game. I may be wrong, but I think that he's still able to play this game, and he won't be able to play Saturday because it has to be verified, and they have to give chance for the for Barnsley to look at it and say, can we challenge it? It's a second yellow. I don't think they can. So maybe it goes through straight away in that case. So we wait and see, because I'll do a live tonight. So it's a case of how I think that Barnsley will have enough here. I think that it's a case of how many. Look, that defence on Peterborough's point is really good. Remember, they haven't actually let in more than 2. If they let in 2 each game, and I'm going to go with another 2. I'm going to go Peterborough 0, Barnsley 2. And we'll keep on that 2 goals let in by Peterborough. Let's see if I'm right. I will go for a Barnsley win. Now I want to go through the Plymouth versus Leyton Orient one. And Plymouth last time out, obviously had Waidu sent off 86 minutes. He really isn't the player that they bought, is he, or that we thought we were going to buy when they hijacked the sale. Plymouth Argyle 66% possession, 16 shots, 4 on target. I want to go through this because it's very much the similar picture all the way through. Lots and lots of possession, lots of attack, lots of shots, a few shots on target, but with everybody playing like so many at the back, parking the bus, Plymouth don't seem to be able to play past that, which is strange because they're only a championship club for 2 years, but they appear to have gone quickly, transversed quickly into the championship way of thinking, giving people more time on the ball and more space. Leyton Orient on the other side, their last time out 2-2 at home to Stockport County, 71% possession, 13 shots, 2 on target, 2 in the net. These 2 sides, if you look at their history so far this season, you find that there's an interesting correlation between the 2. For Plymouth, for instance, we started with a 3-1 defeat at home to Barnsley, 2-0 defeat away up to Bolton Wanderers, 3-2 win at home to QPR. So we've changed the championship style of play, remember there, and they win. Back to League One, away at Lincoln City, 3-2 defeat. Leyton Orient, they've been very much doing the same thing. They lost against Huddersfield, but they had I think about 66% possession there at the end of the day. I think it was 66, wasn't it? And they were absolutely hit for 6 by the Huddersfield side. They were so clinical. 3-0 defeat away, 2-0 win at home to Wigan, and then a 1-0 home defeat to Wycombe in the Cup, and then 2-2 draw at home to Stockport County. And again, if you look at that game, 71% possession, 13 shots and 2 on target. With both of these sides like to keep the ball. Both of these sides will be going out there to control this game, but of course neither team can fully control it because I think they're going to be both wanting to do exactly the same thing, and I think that these 2 sides are both capable of keeping the ball. I think it's going to be big portions of the game where one team keeps the ball, tries to build forward, and as soon as they lose it, the other team's going to keep it again and try and roll forward themselves. I don't think there's going to be as many shots here because of the fact that they're both trying to just keep the damn ball, and when they lose it, they're not getting it back again. I think that this is going to be a battle of two teams that are playing exactly the same this season. And for me, they both have one win. They both have one win. Although Plymouth is in the cup against QPR, and Orient is at home to Wigan in the league. I think this is going to be an interesting one. I'm going to plump for my first draw. I'm going to go for Plymouth 2, Leyton Orient 2. I'm going to move on. A little bit more difficult here because now we go on to Port Vale versus Stevenage. Port Vale can play some really good football. They lost at Rotherham in their opening game 2-1. Then they drew 0-0 at home to Cardiff. 1-0 win away to Blackpool. Very impressive that one because they have some really good attacking football, Blackpool, and they won them by having a good defence. Burton Albion then 0-0. One away from home. I want to say that they played extremely well against Rotherham in that second half, and they should have, I think, equalised there at least. They deserved at least a point there. They've been playing some good football, but I want to point that Blackpool win. Their attack is absolutely brilliant this season. It's just that they're not getting the results that they really, what a lot of people thought they would get. Stevenage Borough, they started with a Blackpool 3-2 away win. Again, 5 goals in a Blackpool game. There's something going on here, isn't there? A 1-0 win at home to Rotherham, and they were by far the best side there, actually. One or two really cracking players in that team, but have they got the depth? Not quite sure. Charlton 3-1 away from home defeat, and then a home win 2-0 at home to Northampton. So Stevenage have actually got a really good side here. I think that they're playing some really classy football. Yes, they can be just as poor at the back at times. It's a case of whether you actually manage to punish them. But at the minute, they're playing really well, and they don't do too many mistakes at the back. I think Blackpool managed to punish both of them in the Blackpool game against a Port Vale side that can play well. But at the minute, he's just trying to get that side's confidence back. They seem to have just took a bit of a hit with the first 2 games, 1 point out of the first 2 games, and I think that side, the heads just dropped a little bit for me. Confidence levels are a little bit low in this Port Vale side, but he will get them back, and he will get them back into sort of this. Probably to maintain this. I mean, the last 3 games, win, draw, win. Although the win, draw, win, draw. Although the win was in the cup against Blackpool Carabao Cup. So I think they'll start in the league to do a few draw, wins. I think this side can be a mid-table side. I think it will be, but this Stevenage side is, for me, is the better side, and I think that it's going to be Port Vale 0. Stevenage 1. I will go on to the next game. So the next game is, after that one, Stockport versus Bradford. See, Stockport, Stevenage, we would have been thinking before the ball was played, you would have been thinking, they're going to be down in the bottom half. It's interesting. I'd love to hear your comments. Do like and subscribe, and Stevenage fans, give me your comments down below. And now you go to Stockport. Stockport versus Bradford. These 2 sides have been brilliant this season, haven't they? Stockport County Bolton at home win 2-0. Wickham 2-1 away win. Crewe Alexandria in the Cup 3-1 win at home. And then Leyton Orient 2-2 draw. For me, they just couldn't handle the way that Leyton Orient try and keep the ball, because Leyton Orient, they're 71% possession, but with the 29% possession, Stockport do a lot of good work. 6 shots, 4 on target, 2 in the net. So Stockport can do a lot without having the ball, and that means that they're constantly trying to break through when they get the ball, but they're going to be playing Bradford, and Bradford, their defence is manic. Let's go to the league. They've got win, draw, win. Win 2-1 at home to Wickham, 0-0 away draw to Northampton. A bit of a blip there, wasn't it? Blackburn win away from home in the Cup 2-1, and Luton Town home win. Luton Town home win against Luton at home 2-1. So I think that this is going to be another one of those really, really interesting games. I think that we could be seeing a lot of attacking and a lot of trying to control the game. Certainly by Stockport, they'll want to control it a bit better at home. And Bradford will be nonchalantly just putting up that brilliant defence of theirs. And the new guy in midfield may be playing as well, although maybe a bit too soon. They bought him yesterday from Manchester United. So let's see what we're going to think. We're going to go with Stockport 2, Bradford 2. I can't seem to split these two. As we go into the game there, the last game of Tuesday anyway, which is Wycombe versus Exeter. And Wycombe, of course, we expected lots of things from Wycombe. We didn't expect too much from Exeter. The games have been pretty much similar, really. Wycombe Wanderers defeat against Bradford 2-1 away. Defeat at home to Stockport County 2-1. A win in the Carabao Cup against Leyton Orient, of all teams, 1-0, which was really impressive. And then another impressive game, I think, was the Doncaster game. Doncaster 1-1, because Doncaster had been playing really well, remember. To get a draw away at Doncaster was indeed good. So we're seeing an improvement from this Wycombe side, and we expected it, didn't we, really? Exeter started with a defeat against Doncaster Rovers, 1-0, as they were finding their feet in the league. Doncaster, at least. A 4-1 home win against Blackpool, of all sides. They didn't get all those shots on target and in the net. Cheltenham away defeat in the cup, and then 2-0, and then Mansfield, boring game, not very. I think that they just didn't get off the mark against Mansfield. They lost 2-1 at home. Quickly look at the stats for Exeter, at least 60%, but they only managed to get 5 shots and 4 on target. This game would just seem to be one of those games at first. I mean, neither of these teams want to lose it. It's going to be 0-0. But it didn't. It was 2-1 to Mansfield. What will happen with this game? I think that Exeter equally will not be wanting to lose, because they know that Wycombe they will know that Wycombe have been improving. Absolutely. And I think that Exeter are going to put up a damn good defence. I don't think there's going to be many goals. I think it's going to be Wycombe 1, Exeter 0. Let's just ponder over that, and we'll go to the game for the following day. Bolton Wanderers, highly fancied this year, and against Reading, who were also highly fancied because they obviously got a takeover. And last year, even without the takeover, the off the field dreadful, on the field they were playing brilliantly. I know that usually the off field antics affect the on. It didn't last season. However, we started with, if I get the right one, Stockport County defeat away 2-0, a win at home 2-0 against Plymouth, and they played really well there. A draw 3-3 against Sheffield Wednesday, and in that was the cup, wasn't it? Yeah. And I thought that Bolton just took the foot off the gas there. They could have made that. They could have absolutely got 4 or 5, I think, but they just. They didn't seem to, and they obviously got Inwood sent off on 27 minutes. Probably I'd probably say that made a big difference for them, because they're very good as a unit, as a team. 53% possession, that Bolton side, 10 shots, 8 on target, 3 in the net. I think had they not had Inwood sent off on 27, I think Bolton certainly would have got more than 3, probably into 4 or 5. And they're playing a Reading side that opened up with a Lincoln City defeat away from home 2-0. Huddersfield defeat 2-0 at home. A Portsmouth win away from home just down the road from where I am. 2-1, really impressive. And then Reading hit that really good defence of Wimbledon and lost at home 2-1. I think that this Plymouth, this Reading side seem to be just faltering, but so do the Bolton side. But if we look at that Bolton team, and if we think about that stadium and the fans, you can't even hear yourself think in that stadium when the Bolton fans are singing. I think that Bolton can do well here. I think that Reading may just find this a little bit too much for them. I'm going to go I'm going to go a lot worse than what a lot of you think. A lot of you fans are thinking. I'm going to go Bolton 3, Reading 0, and that ends my midweek game. My first set of midweek predictions. Do subscribe. We'll be doing a live tonight, and we will be doing a live on Saturday, and then we'll see how many people really enjoyed it, and we'll go on from there. Thank you very much. Remember, John S. Sports Channel, like and subscribe.